날 어떻게 나약한 나에 견딜 수 없어.
The button right next to that door.
Fourth function is the most useful, which is the information. Speaker wants to make other.
Hey, have you guys signed a petition?
Certain data, certain concepts.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening to you all, dear viewers. Welcome back to ang Gurung Vlogger ng Kuwait with a new fun and informative vlog. Now, before we get on to the video, don't forget to like, hit the subscribe button down below, and turn notifications to be updated with new content to watch. So without further ado, let's get on to the video. In the previous chapters, we have learned about the multiple types of communication, like the models of communication, dimensions of communication, the influence of culture and gender in communication, and even miscommunication. So today, we're going to discuss about the lesson, the functions of communication. Communication in itself is very vague and composes of many different subtopics, and when misinterpreted incorrectly, it can be confusing or hard to understand. When we communicate, for example, we have different purposes or intentions in mind. Whenever we ask for something or demand about something, let me visualize it for you like this. A person demanding a certain action to stop, like a mother scolding her child. I told you to stop bothering your sister, didn't I? How about greeting friends? Hey, it's been a long time. How have you been? What about motivating your group during a project that is due? We really need to stop procrastinating if we want to get a good grade, guys. What about someone asking directions to somewhere in your place?
Hey, do you know where the bathroom is?
The button right next to that door. Even encountering a petition during a devastation. Hey, have you guys signed a petition regarding school poverty in community schools by expanding free school meals? Can you believe people out here are being picky with what they eat when the other side of the world don't even have the privilege of doing that? We can see from all of these examples that each of them have something in common. These are called the functions of communication, which refers to how we humans use language for different purposes. Hey Callens, could you explain to us the functions of communication and its types?
Sure, functions of communication are divided into 5 different parts. The first one is the regulation control. This type of function which can be used to control the behavior of human beings. The second one we have is the social interaction. This type of function can be used to interacting with other people socially, being able to develop bonds, relations, and intimacy. The third one is the motivation. This type of function refers to a person communicating to express desires, needs, wants, likes, dislikes, and goals. The fourth one is the information. This type of function can be used for sharing and getting information. And lastly, we have the fifth one, which is the emotional expression. Since we humans feel emotion, we also express these emotions verbally and non-verbally.
Regulation or control. If the speaker's purpose is to control others by managing their behavior, then the speaker is using the function of regulation or control, such as a parent telling a child not to misbehave, or a policeman directing pedestrians not to jaywalk but to cross on the pedestrian lane. Regulation or control is also observed when a student asks his or her parents to stop teasing him or her about having a crush in school. Regulation or control is observable if we focus on the verbal and nonverbal cues used by the speaker to achieve his or her purpose. The speaker and the listener, when using verbal cues, should be respectful of each other's culture as well as of their age, gender, social status, and religion. Verbal cues are the specific words chosen and used. The words are usually directives, orders, requests, and so on, meant to regulate and control other people's behavior. In certain cases that involve situations in the Philippines that involve a superior and a subordinate, an order is oftentimes worded as a request. Nonverbal cues include the tone and bodily action that accompany the words to be authoritative and firm. Remember, both verbal and nonverbal cues are necessary for a successful outcome of communication, the achievement of the speaker's purpose, regulation, and control.
Social interaction is the most obvious, the most often used, and not only the second but the most popular function of the communication. Just think of how many times people interact with other people by talking to them, conversing with them, laughing with them, and just enjoying each other's company. This is because we love to talk with each other. Conversing with one another pleases and entertains them while passing time. Humans talk for the purpose of coming together as a society. Social interaction allows people to be connected to one another. A family becomes close not because they live under the same roof, but because each member of the family interacts with one another. Friends get together to interact and enjoy each other's company. A new acquaintance can become a friend by getting to know that person through more opportunities for interaction. Like regulation and control, social interaction occurs when verbal and nonverbal cues are approximately applied. The speaker and the listener, while using verbal cues, should be respectful of each other's culture as well as their age, gender, social status, and religion. Verbal cues are specifically words chosen and used. The words usually used are mostly in formal terms and casually delivered. Although Philippine society dictates certain decorum when talking to elders or figures of authority. During nonverbal cues, the tone is usually friendly, even teasing, and bodily action is relaxed. A fact check is social interaction uses the most verbal and nonverbal cues since it happens every day, like 24/7. Given the number of people interacting with each other, the verbal and nonverbal cues used, including possible combination, makes interaction with everyone uncountable.
Motivation. Let's move on to the third function, motivation. When people communicate, for example, they always have a purpose or a reason. Why do people talk about this but not that? Or why talk to him but not her? It's because there is a goal to be achieved or a motive that must be done. The motivation to talk with the teacher is perhaps to ask him or her for more time to finish a class project or assignment. What about when a customer convinces a vendor to sell a bigger size mango for the same price as a smaller one? The speaker and the listener, when using verbal cues, should be respectful also of each other's culture as well as of their age, gender, social status, and religion. Now, motivation is accomplished using the following. Verbal cues become more direct and purposeful words are chosen for both men and women, although these can be softened for elders or children. Nonverbal cues, on the other hand, include strong words accompanied by empathetic gestures and a forceful tone of voice.
Fourth function is the most useful, which is the information. This function is used when the speaker wants to make others aware of certain data, certain concepts, and processes, knowledge that may be useful to them. This may be something as serious as knowing what the MRSA virus is and how to avoid getting it, or something less serious but just as important, such as when and where the graduation will be held and what other details are in there. Whether talking to a friend or acquaintances to convince or to motivate them, what is usually necessary is to provide information. Visualize a situation in which the school dentist tells the kindergarten class how to brush one's teeth properly. Or what about a weather forecaster on a TV news program that tracks the path of the low pressure area which might turn into a typhoon? The speaker and the listener, when using verbal cues, should be respectful of each other's culture as well as their age, gender, social status, and their religion. Verbal cues in this case have to be carefully chosen. Most likely, the dentist will use simple words for the benefit of the kindergartens. The weather forecaster will not use grandiose words to be understood by people listening to the radio and watching TV. An example of the nonverbal cues is that the dentist can show pictures or videos that the children can easily understand, displaying what happens when they do not brush their teeth, and the weather forecaster can calmly gesture to the map and using a soothing tone of the voice to avoid alarming the audiences.
Emotional expression. Last but not the least function is emotional expression. It is used by a speaker for the purpose of making a person to act or to move towards a particular direction. Filipinos can be moved to tears by a movie, drama series, or a song. More than regulation and control, more than motivation, emotional expression is used by a speaker for the purpose of moving another person to action. The speaker appeals to the listener's feelings and emotions to encourage him or her to act in a particular decision. Receiving messages that include a picture of a devastation brought about by a typhoon, such as Yolanda, or photos of children dying or crying because of hunger, we cannot help but feel moved to do something, like donate money, clothes, food, or water, or even volunteer to help build a new home for victims. Because photos of suffering or devastation tug at the heartstrings of most people. Verbal cues show in this function that there are words that may not appeal to women how they appeal to men, and words that children use that elderly might find insulting, and vice versa. Also, be careful about using English words in different cultures. For example, the word gift means poison in German, so do not tell a German visitor that one has a gift for him or her. Words should be carefully chosen. In nonverbal cues, when we appeal to someone by using emotions, we accompany this appeal with touching, holding hands, or hugging.
The lesson in this vlog is focused on the reasons why people communicate. The functions that communication serve are so that human beings live harmoniously in a society. Still, it must be said that these functions are not mutually exclusive. They do not exist independent of each other. Therefore, a speaker has 5 major reasons for communicating, also known as the functions of communication. It must be remembered that these functions do overlap. To regulate or motivate, it is sometimes necessary to first inform. On the other hand, social interaction also involves emotional expression, so does motivation. Moreover, these functions use both verbal and nonverbal cues to accomplish a specific purpose of communication that the speaker has in mind.
Stay tuned for more informative discussions, and don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn notifications to get updated with a new learning experience. This has been Group 1, and see you again soon.
Functions of communication.
Verbal cues shown in this function are words that may appeal to when
Gesture can calmly gesture and the mouth and use a soothing voice.
Verbal cues that show in this function.
The fourth function is the most useful, which is the information. This function is used when the speaker wants to make others.
Verbal cues shown in this function may appeal to men but may not appeal to women. There are words in what?
Function is the most useful.